So just going to start this recording here. So awesome. Well, Jonny Grayshon, thank you very much for taking the time today. Welcome to the Fitness Burrito Podcast. My name is Dan Hughes. For anybody out there who's tuning in for the first time, you've never listened to this podcast before, it's all about just kind of helping you understand how to kind of like practically apply, fitness, health information, nutrition, training, and all that stuff. So today, pretty pumped. I got a cool guest coming on. Like I said, Jonny Grayshon. He is a very popular PT in kind of the north of England, so the Yorkshire area. He's got some pretty funny videos on Instagram knocking about recently. And I'm excited to get him on. So Jonny, if you just want to do a quick little intro, mate, it doesn't have to be crazy long. Just tell the people kind of obviously who you are, where you're from, all that kind of stuff, mate. That'd be good.
Yep. Okay, cool. So thanks for having me on anyway. So my background's rugby league. I was professional sport for 12 years. Then overlapped my career with PTing. I thought I'd have to get a proper job sooner or later. So that just took a natural kind of flow from training at rugby, doing all the physical exercise. And went into PTing. That's the side I always loved. So I've been PTing about 7 years. Moved around a little bit from where I grew up over into Leeds now, from Bradford, and now settled in Leeds. So that was over the last 7 years, and now I've got my studio set up, and I'm doing studio-based PT and online PT.
Nice one. He goes under UFit UK, which I thought was a kind of a cool little name. So I always wondered how that kind of name come about on your Instagram and all that stuff. Did you just pull it out of a hat one day and you're like, yeah, fuck it, that's what I'm going for? Or?
Pretty much. Before I set up PT, I was on a holiday with a good friend, and we were just brainstorming, and I think it was like at the time where like there was Fitbits coming out and, all this iFit and whatever, all these weird play on words with little gadgets that were coming out. And that was kind of where it all came from. UFit, it kind of, it kept it unisex, not too aggressive, kind of general population type stuff, which is who I work with. So not bodybuilders or CrossFit or anything specific. So it just kind of fit and stuck. And then I realised there was, like a massive chain in America called UFit. So that's why I just stuck UK on the end.
Okay. I didn't even know there was a big chain in America. What's the chain? Is it just a chain of gyms? Yeah,
it's like how Pure Gyms or whatever. It's a chain gym. It's called UFit or Green and Purple. I don't know if it's just in one state or one coast of America, but anyway.
Yeah. You never know, mate. They might knock on your door one day and offer you like $50K for your website to have, .co.uk. So keep that close. Awesome, man. Well, yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to the podcast because, like I said, Jonny's very popular PT. He's done really, really well. I've kind of looked at his stuff for the last few years. He just keeps on just like pumping out transformations and just getting people into really good shape. So I think it'll be a cool little podcast to hopefully just help a few people out there kind of understand, I guess, maybe what it takes and the mindset you have to have and maybe some of the sacrifices you have to make as well along the way. And for all of you guys kind of listening right now, Jonny's sitting in his studio. He's got some pretty cool graffiti happening in the background. So yeah, he's got a cool little spot. So make sure to go check that out if you're in the Garforth area. And if for all those Canadians and Americans, don't fucking worry about it. You have no idea where that is. So if we kind of kick off that first question. So the kind of one of the first things I want to ask you is more from like a transformation perspective. And even just when you start working with people is how do you help them set expectations before they even start training or even start kind of like looking at food? Because I think that's probably one of the biggest things a lot of people forget to do. What's kind of just like some common things that you talk through with your clients about just, setting realistic expectations and not necessarily goals, but just like their mindset, I guess, beforehand?
Well, most signups will come from either referrals from friends or the photographs that they'll see on social media. And they think, they've seen this picture, so if they do it, they'll look like that straight away. So we need to be realistic in terms of their starting point, because there's 3 phases to the online training. And the first phase is always to get body fat down. Even if they want to get bigger, you need to get body fat down first, even if they're a slim guy. So I go off 1 to 3 pounds a week for weight loss.
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere from 1 to 3 pounds a week on average is a good gut, is a good kind of rate, a safe, realistic rate of fat loss or weight loss. And then the bigger they are, sometimes they'll lose quicker. Obviously, water retention and things like this will drop more weight. And we'll always, there's lots of education in the closed group about what to expect. A big one for a lot of people is they'll come on, they'll change their lifestyle, improve the nutrition, start moving more, start working out, start sleeping well, getting really motivated and pumped, and the group interaction's really good. And the end of the first week, they always need to weigh in. So they weigh in every week, and there's a big training section on this inside the video of what to expect on that initial weigh-in, because they feel better, everything's improved 100%, every aspect of their life. And sometimes they get on the scales, it can even go up after week 1, which to be expected for me. I'll always explain, you could lose, you could maintain, or you could increase in week 1, and that's for different reasons. So I need to make them aware of that, because that's a massive, kick in the balls for them. They feel like they've done everything right, and then they gain weight at the end of the week. And so we need to cover, the science and how the body reacts, and how it's always an individual thing. So just because the best friend did it and lost 2 kilos a week every week for 12 weeks, it doesn't mean to say they will, because we've all got different stresses going on in life, different situations, kids, working, commuting, shift work, shitty sleep patterns, all this stuff. It all plays a big part. So I will tell them the possible outcomes and what's potentially achievable realistically, but also highlight, you've got to be realistic and look at your situation. Don't compare yourself to anyone else, and let's just see what happens type thing.
Yeah, I think that's a big one. I think to your point again, when people see pictures, especially on social media, they just jump the gun, don't they? They feel like, oh, I've just found that magic thing that's going to get me to where I fucking want to be, that, I've been looking for the last 10 years. And then they go, oh, actually, I need to put some effort in. And then maybe that first week, and I saw somebody else post something about this a while ago, but how that first week, a lot of people kind of just drop off because they do small little things every day thinking that's going to make a massive difference. And at the end of the week, to your point, if they put weight on, they're going, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, I'm not eating pizza, I'm not eating chocolate, I'm not drinking beer. And Johnny's telling me that I might still put weight on, and I did. What the hell's going on? So, but it's looking at the bigger picture and saying, okay, but it's a process. You mentioned one thing about kind of your phases. Why do you feel like your first phase always has to be getting them to drop weight rather than potentially even looking at putting weight on? Why is that maybe such an important factor?
So for me, in my opinion, let's say a skinny guy came to me. I've got a couple of guys in the program, call them skinny fat. So they're very, very, very lean, thin, very little muscle, but they might still be carrying maybe a little belly or a pot belly. And they want to get big. They want to put weight on, which I understand. But when you go into a growth phase or a lean bulking phase, even though you want to keep body fat gain to a minimum, you are going to gain a little bit of body fat. And for me, if you get lean first and get the abs showing, especially online, with online check-ins and online coaching, when you're not there to physically work with them and check the body fat and all this stuff, if they have abs before they start a lean growth cycle, we can kind of go off their photo check-in with the abs. and we never want to fully lose sight of the abs. So we're prepared to gain a little bit of body fat, and accept we are going to put fat on. But we want to keep that to a minimum. So all the weight that they are putting on is quality, lean muscle, quality growth. And then we can bulk as long as we need to get to either their ideal size goal or weight goal. And then when you come back to cutting back down, you don't have a huge mountain to climb in terms of cutting all the fat off, because we can only grow at we've all got a natural ability to grow. We've all got our own speed in which we can add lean muscle. Some people may pack on muscle much quicker than others, but once you're eating enough food to fuel your workouts, lift heavy, and then grow and keep the progression going, eventually you're going to hit that natural ceiling on how fast you can grow. Now, let's say that's, just for easy numbers, let's say that's 4,000 calories, and you're growing and you've hit your maximum rate of growth at 4,000 calories. Where a lot of people go wrong is they'll go up to 5,000 or 6,000 calories and think more food will get me bigger. You'll only pile on more fat at that rate, at that point, which then you feel like it's working because you're getting huge, but it's just fat you're putting on. And then when you come to cut, you've got like maybe 5 or 10 kilos of fat to get off that you didn't even need to put on in the first place, because it didn't speed your rate of growth up anymore. So the bulking phase, it's get them lean, get them in good condition, and then keep them as lean as possible whilst growing. And then when we come back to cutting, it's only a shortcut to get that little bit of excess fat off, and hopefully the bigger and heavier than when they started.
Yeah, I think that's actually quite helpful, I think, potentially for a lot of people, because to your point, and before we even got to that question, we were talking about sleep, we're talking about, hydration, we're talking about food, we're talking about stress, your environment, all these things, genetics, right? And if you're someone who, I guess, has never gone through either a weight loss period or bulk period, well, a good thing to probably kind of put yourself through is just trying to go through a bit of a weight loss period to know what your body feels like when you're hungry, when you're in a calorie deficit. And then to your point, that's also going to be slightly motivating when you start seeing your abs. And then, which I think is a really easy way and big takeaway, I think, for a lot of people here, is when you then go into a bulk phase, which basically means you're just trying to pack on more size, then as long as you can somewhat see your abs throughout, then you're not putting too much fat mass on. And the amount of, I was saying this to another guy the other day when we were doing a podcast, a guy called Chris Lowe, and he's a nutritionist, and we were just saying how, like, we've had friends in the past who used to eat like a whole tub 1 kilo of yogurt, saying you were on a bulk phase, right? And I'm like, what are you doing? And and then he gets so big and he's like, oh my God, this cut's gonna be miserable, because he's had to do it for an extra 3 months, 4 months. And dieting's not like enjoyable, by the way. So I don't think you want to be dieting for an extra 4 months. So I think that's actually quite easy and probably quite practical thing for people to apply. So that's quite good. Awesome. In terms of kind of like just helping people stay accountable, Jonny, what's, in your opinion, I know you mentioned you have like your own kind of private group, and I think that's something that a lot of people have started to do now, but obviously how you actually set that up is going to be probably different. But what are your kind of like big wins for some of your clients to really help them stay accountable and kind of stay on track and consistent?
In terms of my group and my online clients, it's the pack mentality. Everyone wants to keep up with the pack. Nobody wants to be the loser. Nobody wants to look like the idiot. So there's 2 or 3 different powerful things. What happens within the group, the private closed group. One, they've got the accountability from me, the coach, and anyone that's had a coach. I have coaches. I've had personal training coaches, and I've got a business coach. Anyone that's got a coach appreciates it's not the fear factor, but the accountability of the coach is always on the back of your mind. You know you need to weigh in this weekend. You know you need to report something. So that alone, my accountability, their accountability, just to me personally, is one main driver. And then you've got the group accountability. So when everyone's in there posting wins, and health markers are changing, and they've just smashed this workout, or they were tired and they didn't want to train, but they went and did it. All these subconscious little positive posts are always eating away at everyone in the group. And it's just really encouraging, because we've all been there where you can't be arsed, and it's much easier to go, fuck this, I'm just gonna watch TV tonight. And then you see the group, someone's just said, really tired, really didn't want to train, but I've just gone and done the workout. Then you're going to think twice about your actions. So the group stuff's really powerful.
Yeah, massively. And I think that's probably one of the biggest lessons that PTs have learned, for all those PTs out there. That's probably the biggest lesson they've learned. They had to create that sense of community and try to find a way to keep their clients accountable and motivated, because the whole, it just depends which side of the fence you're on. But a lot of people right now are kind of do the whole motivation thing. And a lot of people are like, motivation's dead. Like, it doesn't exist. You just have to create it for yourself, and you just have to create consistency. You have to create a routine or whatever, right? Depending on which side of the fence you are, it doesn't matter. If you have a group of people that are kind of like, pushing you a little bit and reminding you about the little things, and that's huge. So I think that's really good. How do you personally keep yourself accountable, mate? I'm just curious, because for those of you guys listening, Jonny's a unit. Like, every time I see him, he seems to get bigger. And I was saying earlier before we start recording, I always see him at Costco, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, size of him. But how do you just keep on track, mate, with all your stuff?
A couple of reasons. Like everyone's got their own why, and for me, just keeping healthy, setting a good example for my clients, for my kids. But it's kind of drilled into me. I've been professional sport for 12 years. I've played sports since I was 8. I've always moved, always trained. But for me personally, just a goal of mine is just to add more weight, get bigger. I don't want to be a bodybuilder. I'm 6'6", so for me to look like normal muscle mass, I need to be quite heavy. Otherwise, I just look like a dick at 6'6". So I'm always put more weight on. But that goes back to the coaches. This is why I've had my own gym coach for a while, Josh Malley, one of the UK's best bodybuilders. And the reason I went to him is because he's also 6'6", and he's 30 kilos, 40 kilos heavier than me. So he's a big guy, and for me to take advice off a bodybuilder who's 5'5", for me, it just seemed like I couldn't relate to it as much. Whereas if I go to someone who's similar size, starting point to me, it's more realistic. So accountability there to coaches, like we said. It's easy for me as a coach myself. I know everything I should do. I know all the nutrition, all the training, all the tricks, but I'm only human, and I'll just sit on my ass if I need to. But if my coach is there, it's a big driver for me. I've also got a really quality, tight-knit group of PT clients who we train every morning together in there. So, I would never train with clients. I would never train during a session with working, but they asked me to train with them. And that keeps me going as well. If I turn up tired to a session and you're like, I'm not feeling it today, but if there's 3 or 4 other guys there and you're all in there training together, that's another big motivator as well, which is how all my PT works in the studio. It's all semi-private, small group training. And it's much more motivating to turn up when you've got 3 or 4. Anyone that's played sport, team sport, pack mentality. If you turn up and you're not feeling it, everyone else pulls you along, and all of a sudden you want to do it. So that's why the semi-private PT works really well.
Yeah, I've noticed that's been a bit more of a shift in the last kind of few years, just in different gyms around the city. And for those of you that don't really know, I'm based in Leeds. You're kind of outside Leeds, is that right, Jonny? Lee's a fairly big city, about 750 to 800,000. So it's way bigger than where I came from back home anyways in Canada. But yeah, that's kind of been a big shift. You kind of mentioned a few golden nuggets probably that you didn't even realize that I kind of like wrote down and picked out. So one of the first one was just finding your why. And that's something that like, you know, people have probably heard before, but really being honest with yourself and understanding why the hell you want to get in better shape. Why is it that you want to feel healthier? You want to be fitter. You're doing it for your kids. You're doing it for yourself, all that kind of stuff. That's huge, huge, huge. So if you haven't before, I just recommend you write down what your actual goal is and then write down 5 whys in a row and try to just answer them all. And you'll be surprised how deep you get into that. You also mentioned just training with other people. And again, it sounds super simple, but a lot of people don't even do that. So if you're somebody who struggles to be consistent, just find somebody that is similar to you that you can relate to, maybe somebody that you want to kind of be like. And Jonny's, again, another example how his clients are probably going to him because they can relate to him, because they want to look like him somewhat, but they also want to be that person they want to become. And that sounds super cheesy, but again, it's finding your why. So, you know, finding kind of people that are like-minded that you can relate to that can help you get to that next level is huge. So all easy, quick, practical wins right there. What are some, sorry, mate, go ahead.
Just on that, it's really easy for people. I mean, you see groups of guys in the gym all the time, don't you? Hugging the bench press, you know, doing eight reps and then chatting for 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes before the next set. It's important that people don't confuse that with just getting in a group and expecting results. You've all heard the saying, "You are your best. You are your best. Your 5 best friends." So whoever you're hanging around with the most, chances are you're going to be like them. And this is something I talk to my group a lot. A lot of people's friends won't have the same mentality. They won't train. They won't train as hard. They'll secretly want to hold them back if they're doing better. So it's not just a case of surrounding yourself with a group of people to go train. It's picking the right people who are probably better than you. You know, again, the old saying, if you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room. Yeah. So same for the gym. If I'm training with 6 guys who are way stronger, fitter, better looking, aesthetically, better on the nutrition, I'm going to seriously level up my game to try and cope with them, you know, keep up with them. So just on that group stuff, select your group wisely, I'd say.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. And I've heard that more so, I guess, like in the past for me, more so from a business perspective, and I guess from like where you want to be in life perspective. So yeah, it's a great point because it applies to everything. It applies to wealth, it applies to health, it applies to relationships, right? Basically. So if you want to have, you know, nicer friends, and we'll go hang out with nicer people. Like, you know what I mean? If you want to make more money, go hang out with people that make more money than you. And if you want to get healthy, then probably surround yourself, to Jonny's point, with people that have either been there, done that, or currently kind of maybe ahead of you and know what obstacles and barriers you're gonna have to overcome. So yeah, that's a really good point, mate. Yeah. Spot on there. I guess that kind of leads us into the next question, which is a good little segue, is on the opposite end of things. I guess what are like some really kind of common mistakes that you tend to see a lot of your clients make, either, you know, before they were with you and as you get to know them and they tell you everything they've tried in the past, like fad diets, low carb diets, God knows what, and even just during their time with you, like, is there anything that they seem to do that you just think, man, why is that such a common thing? Why don't they just get rid of that?
I think the biggest one that stands out is just the lack of patience to get the result. Everybody wants the result now, you know. Modern life doesn't help with, I call it the Amazon Prime lifestyle. Everyone wants it now. Order it, and it arrived, you know, half an hour ago. And the thing that people don't realize is if it's taken them 20 or 30 years to get fat and unhealthy, they're not going to fix it within a week. And they need to be, you know, they were perfectly good at being consistent to get fat, yet they can't be consistent to get healthy. So being accepting it's going to take time, doing the right things over and over again is probably the main one. And then chasing too many rabbits as well. whether that's different types of nutrition styles, different types of training styles, different goals. People jump ship too quickly. If something's not working within a week, they try that. If that don't work within a week, they go there. And if that's not working, they'll go over there. And more often than not, if you just pick one thing and do it consistently, it'll work. If it suits your lifestyle, that is. Not if it's completely wrong for you. But do you know what I mean? They just need to be consistent and just do the basics right for long enough, and they'll get the result.
Yeah, big time. No, I think that's, again, super simple, but again, you can go into crazy amount of depth in each point you've kind of made there. Patience is huge. And it's like you said, people just don't, I don't know why. Well, I mean, I do know why, because like to your point, it's just modern lifestyle and everyone just seems to kind of look for that next craze. But if you just literally took a month and all you did was floss every day, your teeth would feel better, right? If you just ate protein with every single meal every day for a month, you're probably going to lose weight. You're going to feel more full. You're going to feel more satiated. You'll probably lose weight. If you just cut alcohol every single day for a month, like it's just little things like that. But for some reason, it's like he said, you do it for a week, you don't see results. You just say, fuck it. I'm going for keto. And then you don't even know what keto is. And you're still eating everything. And you're just like, I'm doing keto. You're like, no, you're not. Relax. So
yeah, but he did keto and lost 2 stone. So it must work. So I'm going to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And then lately I had a few people actually ask me about the old apple cider vinegar, and they were like, "Oh, my mate's been taking apple cider vinegar, and he says that's what's keeping him lean." I was like, "No, stop! Don't even talk about apple cider vinegar." So
as long as you drink it before 6 p.m., it's really good.
Yeah, exactly. After 6, you're fucked. Don't even try. No, spot on. So yeah, patience, and just consistency and stick to one thing. So wise words from Jonny over here. How do we combat? So this is kind of a bit more sciencey, and it's just because I'm just curious to kind of hear what you think. But so I'm going to throw a word out there. It might fly over a few people's heads, which is called metabolic adaptation. It's basically just the principle that like when you start losing weight, and potentially when you lose weight too quickly, and at the very beginning of the podcast, Jonny was saying like, I try to lose maybe 1 to 3 pounds a week. And I don't want to be too aggressive, because that's also going to impact maybe like your lean mass, because you don't want to be losing all the mass that you potentially worked hard to put on. But metabolic adaptation just means that your body starts basically becoming a bit frugal, right? It doesn't want you to lose weight, so it might make it might make it harder. I guess with some of your clients, Jonny, because I've seen some of your transformations, they're pretty insane. Do you ever kind of get to that point where some of your clients hit a plateau and they get a bit frustrated, but you just have to kind of tell them, look, be patient. We're going to tweak a few things, and we're going to try to make sure that we're limiting how much your body adapts. Does that happen? And how do you kind of like help them overcome that?
Yeah, definitely. A couple of things. One, first of all, make him aware that it's completely normal to plateau, and the body will do everything it can to hold on to whatever condition you're in. So if you're fat, if you're really fat, if you're a little bit fat, if you're skinny, if you're trying to change your body one way or another, your body wants to be a certain size. It likes being the size it is. So when you try and change it, it's going to resist. So that's not the only reason we plateau, but at some point within 12 weeks, you are going to get a plateau. So what we do within the 12-week transformation is we leave ourselves wriggle room and room to play. So we don't throw all our eggs in the same basket in week 1, because you will hit a plateau. And this is where people go wrong usually on diets. And I'm not being sexist, but girls tend to be the worst, just so, in my experience, what I've seen over 7 years. If somebody says, that's it, I'm going to diet, I'm on a diet that starts tomorrow, no carbs, no wine, no chocolate, and they end up eating, I don't know, 800 calories a day, something ridiculous on really low calories. Sooner or later, the body will lose weight to adapt to the energy coming in. So the energy coming in is the food, the energy going out is the exercise. It will make itself smaller, so reserves energy. It doesn't burn as much energy moving around. If it's smaller, it won't use as much energy. So it adapts to the food you're giving it. So let's say you're giving it 800 calories. It will adapt to those 800 calories and stay. And that's when the plateau happens. The energy balance is balanced out. So then what do? You've only got two things you can manipulate. Less energy coming in or more energy going out. So then you cut your food even more. You go down to 500 calories. Within 2 or 3 weeks, you're going to be feeling pretty shit. There's going to be no energy, no sleep, bad mood, training like a dick. Just everything's going to be fucked. And you're only 3 weeks into your diet and you're not even getting a result because you've plateaued. So what do you do then? You'd have to like literally lunge everywhere 24/7 to train, increase output whilst eating lettuce. So people go in far too deep, too hard, too soon. When in reality, you just need to tip the balance a little bit more movement, a few less calories, but consistently. And then when you plateau, you've still got plenty of room with either energy in or energy out. The two variables, you've still got room to tweak.
Yeah,
and that's basically how we do that's how I treat my clients. So
yeah.
you know they're going to lose weight by reducing the food a little bit. Let's say you need 2,000 calories to lose weight. Sorry, let's say you need 2,000 calories to maintain your current weight. People think to lose weight I need to go down to 1,000, when in reality to lose weight you only need to go down to 1,900 or 1,800. So people are too aggressive too soon.
Yeah, they are big time. You know, I was just wondering have you ever had to, I'm sure you have, but have you ever had to kind of get someone who comes in as a client and you realize, okay, you get to know them, they've done whatever onboarding process and they go, yeah, I'm eating 1,000 calories, right? I'm basically running marathons. I'm working out 6 times a week. I'm eating 1,000 calories. And then you go, okay, well, we're going to bump you up to about like 2,300 and you're going to stay there for a while until we get you back to normal. And then we're going to go into probably a bit of a fat loss phase or weight loss phase, or we might not even do anything and just focus on your activity. Have you ever gone the other way and just said, no, we need to get you to eat because your body's basically fucked right now and we need to kind of reset it?
Also, if they come in and they're used to eating nothing and doing everything, and then, 100%, reset. So week one is always like an educational week, a platform. We build a solid platform, hydration, correct the right amount of calories, sleep, nutrition. Week one's all about getting the mindset right, highlighting why we're doing it, what they need. This is why I say to them, I don't give a shit if you don't lose weight in week one, because we need to build. It'd be like saying, right, we're going to build a sweet mansion. Let's not look at the ground. We'll just throw it up in this sloppy bog. And then the house will collapse. We need to clear the ground, build a solid foundation, and then we can build from there. So I'd rather it take, that's why I have 3 phases in the plan, 12 weeks each. Sometimes it might take longer than 12 weeks. But for me, if it's taking longer because we're putting things right and getting the mindset right and educating them right, then that's a much better long-term result than trying to get a quick fix and then it all going fucking wrong, 10 weeks later.
Yeah, massively. And I mean, I was working with a girl, I'm still working with her. And I remember she was a client of mine back in the day when I wasn't that great of a PT. I'm not going to lie, like anything else, you learn as you grow, right? And I was working with her and she was telling me how many calories she ate. And I was like, I don't think you're eating enough. And then bumped up her calories. And funnily enough, she started losing weight, even though she was eating more than she ever had. And then her body started getting used to it. And now she's going back into a deficit. But the difference between where she was now and where she is now versus where she was like 800 calories. And then I've got another girl who's, like to my point earlier, she trains every day. like crazy strong. She's actually quite lean already. And I looked at her calories. I'm like, you actually need more for your performance. Bumped up her calories again, 400 or 500 calories, and her weight's just not even budging. And she could probably still eat another 200, 300, 400 calories, and her weight probably still wouldn't budge. But she feels better. She looks better. She's filling up now. And these are all things that people, I think, are scared of doing because they don't fully understand the concepts of what your body needs for performance, what it needs to fuel itself. And ultimately, you can't just kind of go from 0 to 100 all the time. So it's just easy little wins that I think some people are just scared to do because, again, they don't understand it. And this is hopefully why we get you guys like you on, and they can listen to the podcast and go, oh, wow, like I can actually calculate my calories and realize I'm eating basically way too little. So I think that's really helpful.
People
go ahead.
I'm just gonna people they start to fear food as well, and then they get a poor relationship with food when they're used to. They think I'm on 800 calories and I'm not losing weight, so they're petrified to eat more because then they think they'll gain weight. When in reality, that's not always the truth. So. For anyone that's struggling with the nutrition on so little calories, there's no reason why anyone should be under 1,000, 1,100, 1,200, even at the very end of an aggressive diet for small people. So yeah, don't fuck yourself up.
yeah, big time. And just to piggyback on that point, Johnny's like, you got your BMR. So for anybody out there who has no idea what your BMR is, it's basically the value in terms of calories that we give each person. And that's the amount of energy they need to basically do absolutely fuck all. So like you're just chilling all day. You're probably not even moving much, probably just watching Netflix on the couch. And even if you're quite small, like, and again, I'm just throwing a number out there. Like if you're 5'4", right? Or like 5'3", you're probably still needing a good 1,200 calories at least, just to be chilling for your body to just like function, right? So if you're doing these like 800 calorie diets and fad diets and you're doing all these crazy shakes, I'm like, it's not going to be long-term. It's not going to be sustainable. And research shows this, that most people that do those crazy aggressive strict diets end up putting all the weight back on and more. And I've talked about that many times before. So you just got to be mindful of that, guys, because it's not just a quick fix. It's just consistency and patience and just making the right changes for you. That's going to, help you long-term. Awesome. Kind of last few points, mate, because I've noticed I wouldn't say style of training, but I've noticed like a few of your videos over the last kind of couple of years, just flicking through Instagram and kind of seeing your semi-private guys train and when you put little snippets and stuff in. I've always kind of looked at some of those videos and thought they were kind of like a mix of, from what I could tell, it might have changed since, but it looked like a bit of a mix of like hypertrophy, kind of HIIT style, basically just like lower rest periods between, I think, your sets, and maybe people are taking more at times or they're taking less. But I just thought for kind of like the flavor of the week segment, which is usually just when I pull out like an article or something, or just kind of get someone to talk about like an expert area. I guess for like the training you use with your guys, can you just talk about that style quick? And again, you don't have to go through every portion of it, but what's that kind of style of training look like for a lot of your clients? Is it pretty straightforward? Is it HIIT style? Is it bodybuilding? What's it look like?
It's always heavily revolves around bodybuilding, hypertrophy, and building more muscle. Everyone wants to be a little bit bigger, look a little bit better naked. So we use the training to improve, even girls, we use the training to improve the shape of the body. And then we use the nutrition to get the fat off to reveal the muscle we built. Depends what phase of training we're in. We'll go through heavy sets, loads of rest. We'll go through, typical strength phase. We'll go through higher rep phase, or we'll go through more of a HIIT, conditioning type phase. With obviously my sporting background, I do enjoy this kind of like sporting conditioning type drills, strongman training, heavy metabolic circuit type stuff, which works well for big groups. Because sometimes a lot of my clients are 40 years plus, young kids, stressful jobs. They just want to go and blow out. And have a really good sweat session and feel like they've worked hard. So sometimes we'll just throw a huge, like, horrible circuit in, and that tends to be kind of a weekend type circuit. But as I've kind of, my client base has kind of leveled out in terms of, there's probably, like I said, my average client is 40, 45.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to manage that well because they're highly stressed. Running a business or managing young families, I can't smash them to bits every session.
Yeah.
We're playing with the long game. So there's got to be recovery phases. We can go heavy on the strength, but not too much like you could with a 20-year-old. The bodies just can't take it. They'll start getting injuries, this kind of thing. So that's why we kind of wave between phases and periods. All changes, really.
Okay. In terms of food, just a few questions off the back of that, mate. That's all right. But, in terms of food, for anybody out there thinking, like, you talked about phases a lot and waves, and you have different, I guess, like, principle for those phases, and you'll tweak things. When it comes to maybe like a deload week in your training, if you do those, which I'm assuming you probably do, and a deload week, for anybody asking, is usually kind of, every 4 to 6 weeks, potentially someone would just kind of cut their volume in half. So maybe rather than doing 4 sets of all their exercises that week, they do 2. The effort still stays roughly the same. The intensity stays the same, but they just do a bit less volume. It helps you recover. So when you come back the next week, then you're basically just shit hot and hopefully lifting heavy weight. So, when you have maybe clients where you give them a bit of a deload week, a bit of a recovery week, do you tend to change their food at all, or do you keep it pretty much the same?
Not really. Keep it the same. It depends what the goal is. I've got some clients that are maintaining the physique. I've got some that are wanting to lose more fat. So the diet usually runs for 12 weeks. If it's a fat loss phase, it'll run for 12 weeks regardless of the training. And then after the 12 weeks, I always give them we always reset the nutrition. So going back to the plateau thing and the low calories, you can go hard into a diet, but for me, only for so long, because eventually mood goes, energy, sleep, training becomes not as effective. You stop moving around as much, so you neat. Everything starts to kind of slow down. So I like to pull back, take the calories back up, and then go again if we need to, rather than just banging your head against the wall 24/7 for months and months and months. Yeah. So if training deloads, then it depends where they are with the nutrition. They get free meals, they get reset weeks, and they get all sorts of little bits to, re-energize them.
Yeah, defo. No, I think that's good. And a few other points too that I want to make is, like Jonny mentioned, stress and recovery. And there's a lot more kind of research coming out on this kind of stuff where, if you had 2 of the exact same person and one person had a really shit day, right? They go to work, super stressful, boss is having to go at them, right? Maybe they're going through some personal shit, family life's not great. They go to the gym, the other person had a great day, boss giving them a promotion, all this stuff. If those 2 people go to the gym and do the same session, they're not getting the same thing out of that session, right? And I think this is where a lot of people, again, you need to be maybe just a bit more aware and conscious, even if you don't have a coach, personal trainer, is like, if you have a really stressful day, you might feel okay, but you actually might not get all the benefits out of a session compared to when you're coming in fresh, you've had a great day, you got a skip in your step and all the rest. So just be mindful of that. There's nothing wrong with kind of maybe just dialing it back a bit on those days. And then on the days where you come in, you're feeling like $1 million, then crank it up a notch and get more out of the workout. But again, that's where probably working with a coach, working with guys like Jonny, where you can really kind of be more bespoke and, individual to you is where, I'd recommend you spend a bit more time if you want to kind of take that next step. Awesome, man. That's really helpful in terms of kind of like what you've got going on, mate, just to finish her off. And before I let you go today, is kind of where can people find you? What do you got going on? I know you got your studio, so kind of what's going on in your life, mate?
So we're just prepping, we've got to wait for the government guidelines, which, it's frustrating at the minute for a lot of gym owners, but all my clients have ported onto the online system. So all through lockdown, training's never stopped for me and my clients. They've just joined the online group, the community. We do Zooms. They have the program sent to them, videos, nutrition check-ins, weekly check-ins, emails. So, and then they've got 24/7 support group going on. So it's for the online clients, it's fine. That's international. I've got a lot of Americans at the minute, all smashing it. The gyms in America have opened now in a lot of places. So in England, just waiting for the studio to open. Maybe, I don't know what it's going to be, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, who knows. So that'll return to normal, which is the semi-private PT, groups of 6 people. And I tend to keep that either guys or girls. A couple of mix, which work well. And then, the rest is online. So people are making do with, resistance band workouts, home workouts, which are deceptively difficult,
Yeah.
And it just goes to back up the accountability thing that we started with. I've not seen my clients or personally trained them for 12, 14, 15 weeks in lockdown. And they're all, still a couple of stone lighter. Fitness has gone through the roof because we've been doing so much on Zoom and more HIIT type workouts. A lot of them have maintained their weight, if not lost. So, and that all comes down to the daily contact and accountability as well. So that's the power it has. If I were to say, right, guys, I'll see you in a couple of months when the gyms reopen, they'd probably come back huge. Yeah. They'd wander off, do their own thing, which, no, I'm not. It's normal. Everyone would. They just wander off and you think, okay, I'll start again in a few months. So it just backs up the power of, community, accountability and checking in.
Yeah, big time. And where can people find your stuff, mate, if ever they want to reach out and kind of get to know you and all that?
So on Instagram, YouFit UK, or Facebook, YouFit UK. You'll see my big ginger Swede on there. If you're not sure you're on the right page, or me in a leotard. Whatever I'm doing for videos. So nice. Just drop me a line.
Nice. And for anybody who's in the kind of Yorkshire Leeds area that happen to drive by Garforth, can they just walk into your studio and come say hi and potentially sign up, or is that not how it works?
So it's appointment only with the sessions. They can pop in, but you best contact me on social media. Email address is on there, and we'll schedule a call.
Perfect. Awesome, man. Well, I really appreciate taking the time as always, mate. We're going to, just before we finish off, as always, my name is Dan Q, Dan Kirion. So again, just kind of replay that last name again a few times before you butcher it. And I'm the guy behind the podcast, but also behind Avante Performance. So you can check me out at Avante Performance. As always, all the info will be in the show notes. But again, massive thank you, Jonny, for coming on. Appreciate the time, brother. I know you got a whole bunch going on.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.